It's a little bit cold this morning. How we doing, Bugatti Lions math? Are we schwiggity? Previously on Kimba TV. Schwiggity schwang schwang on that dot. Schwiggity schwang schwang on that dot. Let's go. Marasa Bar says we planned for this. We sure did. Let's go. Come on. Easy. Come on. Ooh. Pixel. 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 Ladies and gentlemen, well, yeah, full rotation is actually a little bit more, but look at that. Full rotation is almost complete. It just has to hit 69360. Okay. Okay. All right, nice. We need to watch for. We need to watch for a sweep of that today. Markets open in an hour and 20 minutes. Wow, we have time. How y'all doing? Let's see here. I just need to make sure I have everything packed. I'm going to do a hard stop around 10. So we got about 3 hours together right now. No, you haven't really missed anything, Calling Noob. All we did was we marked that, the bad highs. Other than that, CME already swept everything. So I'm just looking through everything.
Okay.
The only thing that changed overnight is that CME swept. So look at derivatives, okay, and then look at CME. See the difference? CME swept. All right. So CME got that thing. All right. Everybody was here for the weekend low sweep over the weekend. Golden pocket retest, bad highs. So all I did this morning was CME swept. Yes? Bad highs are up there. So very similar to what we talked about yesterday. This is still applicable, that short, if it's a swing fail. Alrighty, so if you're caught up on the weekend highlights, nothing has really changed. If you were here last night, we left off with, is it just gonna bing, bing, bing in here? Is it just gonna bing, bing, bing in here? And surely it did. The difference is that CME swept. All right, the bad highs that we were watching over the weekend still up there, and actually even worse now because of what it did up there. So if you guys remember what we talked about on Friday, I asked you guys to compare and contrast what would happen if CME gaps up, and then what happens if it sweeps a level. What does it do? Does it count or does it not? All right, markets are opening in about an hour. Technically, markets aren't opening, but that's when futures will pause. So it'll be back to Macaulay Culkin. So it gapped over a 3-day holiday weekend. It closed the gap. It left a bad high. It swept the lows. In a little bit, when theoretically markets are supposed to open, the futures will pause. So it'll be Macaulay Culkin all day. It'll be back to 3-day holiday weekend. Did you guys get to nerd out on 3-day holiday weekend things? If it sweeps, does it hold? What about the gap fill? Bugatti money. Let's get nasty. Math is math. Nogzar says, and it formed divs on Bybit. Good. Remember what we talked about. Do not be the guy that just tells me that if there's a div on Bybit or not, right? Be the guy that compares and contrasts the divergences on Binance and Bybit so you know for sure if it's good to be longing when Bybit has a div versus when Binance has a div, right? Everything that we talked about over the weekend. Do not be the guy that just tells me that there's a div on Bybit. You have to compare and contrast the divs on Binance versus Bybit. Roger that. So these are all bad highs, okay? And you're going to be identifying the edge as it approaches that level and when it hits the level. Okay? So what are some things that are bearish edges that you could try to anticipate? Gecko. So everything that you said sounds good, but I'm not entirely sure if you just repeated what I said and memorized what I said, or if you truly know. Do you know that those are just 6 out of maybe thousands of bearish edges that you could have? So for example, Gecko, what happens if none of those things happen? Are you aware of other bearish edge? There's thousands of other bearish edge. Those are the things that might show up. But are you aware of other things? I don't know what you don't know, Gecko. Do you know all of the bearish edge that can happen? Or do you only know of the things that I just said? If we were to break down what you were saying, you said SFP of the bad highs, sure. But make sure that you're watching them on CME. Do you also know that CME is going to stop in a little bit? When is CME going to pause? Do you know when CME is going to pause? Do you know what it means if it sweeps on derivatives but CME doesn't, Gecko? So what happens if CME pauses right here and then derivatives sweep? What happens? You got to take all of those things into consideration. Alrighty. So the first one that you listed was SFP of bad highs. Okay, that's good. Yes, I would love that. OI down. Yes, I would love that because that means that long shorts got squeezed, right? Perfect. CME sweep. Yes. However, it's going to depend on if it's online or if it's not. Okay. CVD bear div. Sure. Yeah, we would love that. RSI lower high. Yeah, so basically, Gecko, my only concern is that you're memorizing what I'm saying. Okay? So, but all of those things are bearish edge, yes. But the thing is you're not going to get all of those things. So what happens if you don't get any of those things? And the timing will matter as well. What happens if all of those things happen during a 3-day holiday weekend? Sounds good, Gecko? So first things first, put together a plan and execute. And at the end of the day, regardless of what happens, just make sure that you know how you can recall all the stuff that happened today. This won't be the last 3-day holiday weekend that you trade. This will not be the last 3-day holiday weekend where there is a bad low, bad high, sweep, CME, all that stuff that you outlined. People were like, why are you trading DOT? You know? So if you're going to trade on fundamentals, I think that's more of like Warren Buffett shit. And I think that's a little bit more for like spot. You know what I mean? When I'm derivative trading, I'm not really looking at fundamentals. I'm looking at things like, are all of these shorters going to get away with it? How many of these shorters, how many of these people that created this imbalance, for example, on DOT, how many of these shorters are retail? Would they really get away with it? Is all that liquidity not going to get swept? Okay, so when I'm trading derivatives and I'm margin trading, I'm looking at more of like imbalances. Will retail get away with it? You know, where's the liquidity to get swept, etc. If I was gonna go off of fundamentals, I would do more like spot, like Warren Buffett shit. If I get candle close above the sweep level, would that confirm the 1 hour? I mean, I guess. Yeah, I guess. You're talking about the smaller one, I'm assuming? Like one of these? Sure? Yeah. But there's bigger ones too, Maddie. So it depends on which one you're looking at. There's bigger hidden bull divs and bigger bear divs if you zoom out enough. So yeah, depending on which one you're talking about, sure, it could. All right, I got about 45 minutes left before I have to dip. Let's go, Maddie. I see you, Maddie. I see you juicing. Yeah, but again, that doesn't mean that. So, okay, so on that narrative, Maddie, you're bullish, right, Maddie? So what you would probably want is, even if you get a swing fail pattern, you need to turn this bitch into support. Maddie, if you swing fail and you lose this again, that's not good. So if you're more bullish and you want that hidden bull div to work, I think even if you see a swing fail, you need to turn this into support. Maddie, in my opinion. Let's go, Aritodo. Thank you for preparing us before your trip. Oh, it's my pleasure, man. It's my pleasure. Hopefully, even if I wasn't here, y'all would have been able to identify that that was a weak high, and that since CME swept, but derivatives didn't, that it was bullish. And, you know, I'm already in a long, so I'm secretly hoping that we can penetrate and then turn that into support. As I've said for the last 2-3 weeks, y'all, if I am going to open a position, it would be a hedge short. So if I'm looking for a hedge short, or if you're more bearish than I am, then that is an opportunity right there. That's good. Okay, that's good. So realistically, if that hedge short doesn't happen, I don't think I'm hedge shorting until probably 73. But yeah, even if I wasn't here, hopefully you guys would have been able to identify that CME already swept. Derivatives don't need to. It's bullish. There's a potential for a hedge short up there. Math, not too difficult. Market. Exodus says, if you have a second, could you talk about maximizing value when you're trading something that's currently making a new all-time high? Fibonacci extensions, you could do time extensions. I think trying to figure out when it's making an all-time high, if people are prematurely shorting or not, is a good thing. And every sort of pullback that happens is it making a hidden bull div or some sort of like absorption where you could continue to make higher highs? That's what I would look for. Exodus. So Fibonacci extensions from a mathematical perspective, when it makes an all-time high, is it a bad high or is it a good high? Okay, is there some sort of, when it does drop a little bit and pull back, does it have some sort of selling absorption or a hidden bull div? Does it make a bad low when it pulls back? Those are the things that I would be looking for, Exodus, to try to see if structure is indicating that it is finished or if there's still more room to go. You're just as good as I am. So I don't need to give you any sort of bullshit disclosure. The sweep is like coming at some point. So if you wanted to TP, this isn't bad, but how much would you squeeze? I guess it's, you don't need to nickel and dime on this shit. Whether you did it here, $400 difference, who gives a shit? You can TP here. Doesn't make that much of a difference. The hedge short here is going to be interesting. I bet a lot of, like I said, people are going to do something like this. I'm not saying you should do this. I'm just saying a lot of people are going to do this. So they'll do like, so they'll have it like above that high. So maybe like here, and then, you know, they'll aim for this, but this would be TP1, TP2, TP3, TP1, TP2, TP3. So some people are going to try this, you know. This is the inclusive level. So you take the fib from this high. Yeah, so some people are going to do this probably. This. Yeah. Yeah. By the way, I'm not saying you should do this. Danzel says Kimba giving finite. You know there's going to be motherfuckers that are going to be pissed when it does this. Scam. Got to be testnet. Got to be testnet. Got to be testnet. Motherfucking testnet, motherfucker. Alrighty. Level to level. All right. Level by level. Alrighty. And I'm looking for 73, but there is a head short possibility. Alrighty. As always, do what we always talk about. Identify the value area high, value area low, point of controls, TPO, same thing, value area high, value area low, point of control. Look at CME, look at Coinbase, try to remember what it's done in the past. Whatever you're seeing, what has it done in the past? And have good risk management. Exclamation KOJ, make sure you guys are signed up. Testnet. It's all testnet, ladies and gentlemen. But the math?
Latuche, motherfucker, the math is the math.
The math is always the math, y'all. Rodents, Big Dog, ESATs, Ninjaville, Zine, Verilil, 83, Tracer, Jonas, Vancity, Love Muffin, Big Win, Mr. Binary, Danzo, Living Forest, Farid, Yogi Christ, Rahman PUBG, Rastaland, Diligent Chew Toy, Atherna, Moggs, Crypto Astronaut, Crispe, Exo, Robinachi, ladies and gentlemen. Sato, tell him what happened. You didn't see that. Sato, tell him what happens if they don't use stop loss. Sato, tell him what happens if they don't use stop loss. He says he's gonna smack the shit out of you, ladies and gentlemen. Hey, longers, I'm rooting for you. Shorters, I'm rooting for you. All right, Bulls, Bears, we're all Lions. Have a great day. Have a great night. Stay safe. I'll see you guys in the Discord. Get nasty. Bugatti Math is testnet.